Depuis la maternelle, je suis solitaire comme un loup, tellement différent des autres que ma grand-mère me croit fou. Les profs n'avaient pas tort de dire que je pouvais mieux faire, donc j'ai choisi de le faire et j'ai jeté mon sac à terre. Ma mère croit que je perds la tête, mais pour pas qu'elle s'inquiète, je lui fais croire que je fais du blé.
Bienvenue à un nouvel épisode du podcast sans commentaire avec Ospian et Emile Khoury.
This week episode in English.
Oh yeah, it's true. Do you want me to do the intro in English?
No, let's not do the intro in English. People are used to the intro in French.
Perfect.
À tous ceux qui ne parlent pas anglais puis qui écoutent son commentaire, on est très désolé. C'est juste, il y a un de mes boys qui est devenu, c'est un de mes humoristes préférés. On est devenus amis.
Ouais.
Et il est de l'extérieur de Montréal puis il était à Montréal pour le festival Juste pour rire. And he's one of the, in my opinion, the funniest comics.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Of all time. Dave Merheje, un gars fucking hilarant, has his own Netflix special, won the Juno Award for Best Comedy Album in 2019. This guy is filled with talent, and we wanted to try the challenge of having a podcast
In English. And if you like it, we're going to do it a couple in Patreon because I got to practice my English.
Let us know if you like the episodes in English. If you do, we will start making more. We could not miss the opportunity. Dave Merheje was in town. Gros shout out à Dave Merheje. Big shout out to everybody that signs up to the patreon.com/sans commentaire. We have 3 tiers, $7, $12, $20, $20, and $12. You guys are our producers, so every week we will give you a shout out. Shout out to Alberto Cabal, Clément Lepage, Cédric Grondin, Jean Bourget, Jean Sloben, Jess Benoît, José Chardon, Manuel Etienne, Nelson Détoche, DC+.
Ralph Younes, Alexandro Carvalho, Annabelle Cardin, Beuf Leclerc, Flavie, Guillaume Cormier, Hugo Fredeus,
Hussein Sobh, Jani Arsenault, Jeff P. Kirouaga, le Dieu de la
Luc Plamondon, Marc Chabot, Marc-Antoine Venn, Marie-Martin Lepage, Maxime Sorto, Sanchez, Nicolas Côté, Philippe Lemieux, Félix Gantero, Frédéric Cholic,
Victor Fleutre. Comme à chaque semaine, cette semaine, on va roaster quelqu'un qui est à 7$ par mois parce que c'est si pauvre, mesdames et messieurs. Cette semaine, la personne qui va se faire roaster, c'est Maud Coutu. On l'a déjà fait?
Yo, Maud! Ça te tentait pas, Maud Family Prix?
Maud Pharmaprix.
Yo, ça va, Maud Uniprix?
Maud Brunet.
Yo, ça va, Maud Acétaminophane?
Merci.
Sérieux, vraiment, merci beaucoup.
Thank you for signing up to our Patreon.
Thank you so much.
The money is always appreciated. You guys can let us live doing what we love doing.
Thank you so much.
And for what's about the episode? Ça se dit même pas, mais c'est pas grave.
Enjoy the show! C'est le seul segment en anglais.
How did the doctor approach it, though? Did she tell you, like, hey, by the way, this is what you need to do? Or was she like, oh, you're pre-diabetic?
Well, it's an app. It's an app. What's it called? One Medical. I think I can say it. And then you just sign up for it and you pay a yearly fee. And then you just kind of, you can do like phone interviews, like FaceTime, or you can go into the office. So I do like yearly checks. I think I started doing, I hate going to the doctor, but I started doing prostate checks because my dad has prostate cancer for like a long time. So I was like, oh, I should, my mom's like, you should do it. And then I was like, let me take a physical is scary because you're like, man, I don't want.
I know, bitch.
Yeah. Well, not even that, but you're like, I don't want anything to come back bad. So I started. I'd rather live in like ignorance, almost like my dad and uncles.
They just choose to live in ignorance. There's
Yeah.
something about
Like being
older
like-
Arab men. It's just like
Yeah.
life is life, and whatever happens is just this is God's way of telling me it's my way to go, and
Yeah.
I'd rather not know. And I feel like they live longer when they don't know.
Yeah, they outlive all the warriors because they don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's dumb or it's smart. I don't know what approach, but I remember, so I did the test and it was high. They send you like an email and they'll tell you, they'll give you like, you should work out, you should do these things, but it was like high cholesterol and at risk of diabetes, which is what we were saying before, is that give me the line, to cross. Because I'm still going to eat candy.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
17 packs of Skittles away from diabetes, so then
you
you'll stop at the 18th and then regret the first 17.
Exactly. They didn't say any of that.
Just exceed a bit the limit, but it's crazy that it's an app. Do you do that yearly, or something happened that you said like, oh, you know what, I got to do a checkup?
I have a lot of like anxiety, so I always think I'm dying. Like if I get like a mark on my body, I'm like, well, that's cancer. Like I see a therapist, so she's helping me, like be better and stuff like that. It's funny when you like with people who are not like anxious as much, and then they look at you. I used to like see a girl, like it was like last year, and she'd look at me. She's like, "It's just a mark," but in your head, you're like, "No, you develop like 3rd stage cancer."
Babe, I saw you fall. This was the corner of the table. It scratched your back. No, this is cancer. We were there together.
Yeah. And I'd send it to. You can take a pic. This is the problem with this app, because you can talk to the doctor. You should never be able to allow to
Like
talk
direct messages? No.
Yeah,
You're a hypochondriac, right?
100%. That's why it was
like
a bad
full
idea for me to talk to her, because I would text her like at 3 a.m. I send her pictures of this mark. Yeah. Dude,
You
one
up?
time, yeah, one time,
Hey, doc, you up?
Hey, you up?
I can show you the messages after she I think sent her assistant in the chat or something about like I'm gonna get it wrong, but it was like, we don't know, basically saying there was too much stuff happening above. We don't know what you're saying anymore. Like I was going on a rampage.
Oh, you were writing so much.
So much like, and then she was like, I've had enough. So I tell that story to people and they're like, you can text your doctor. I go, it's the worst idea ever. You should not be able to have any contact with the doctor. There should be a somebody in the middle. So this app, you can do that. And I just do yearly checks now because I'm like, well, I turned 42 tomorrow.
Oh, fuck. That's
Yeah,
it.
so I'm
Happy
like
birthday.
40. Thank you. So I'm like,
Do you
40.
feel 42? Is there such a thing now as feeling 42? Because I feel like this new wave of, I see you being super active artistically and like being on the go always, different countries. I work with Rachid Badouri. I don't know if you've met him. He's, I think, 44 now, 45. 46. And I feel like youth sticks longer now. Do you feel younger at mind, in body?
Yeah.
Do you feel good?
I don't feel like no, I still have like bad back pains. And when I turned 40, I got up and I put my foot down and my knee started to hurt. I go, oh, that's 40. But I mean, I feel like more this is who I am. Like I don't feel
My
like
back pain is who I am.
Well,
from
just
now.
personality wise, I don't really care as much anymore about certain things I used to care about. I don't, you take me as I am. Like, I mean, like, I'm not being a piece of shit, but I'm just saying is like, you just feel more, you watch like somebody maybe who's in their 20s and you're like, oh, you trying to figure it out. I get it. Like all this you still care about. And then you get to 30, you still care about it. And then you get to 40 and you're like, I don't give a
Fuck this shit.
You know what I mean? As long as I'm not dead. Like you have
as long
to
as I'm
bear,
not dead.
like
That's it.
everything, you're like, I don't know. You don't really like. I don't know. I don't feel. My energy for comedy and acting is higher, but maybe it's because I'm like experience. Maybe in my head, my anxiety is like you don't have that much time. Maybe I don't know.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I don't. There's like a multiple things, but I don't feel youthful.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like we were playing basketball and I'm tired and I don't have that young person energy. Like one more game, you're like, no, bro, I'm just gonna go have a coffee or lay on the grass. Like,
Can we sit somewhere?
I don't smoke cigarettes, but can we start smoking cigarettes?
I did in Lebanon when I went to Lebanon.
I was
It
gonna
the
ask
first
you
time.
about that.
Yeah.
You, what I loved about the growth of your career is that you've always kept that Lebanese aspect to your comedy, and also like there was always mentions of your dad, your family, which is why I connected so quickly to what you were doing. And seeing someone bring non-hacky ethnic Arabic jokes to the stage and like just you being your true self, which I don't know if it took you a bit of time to figure your shit out in the couple of first years of
More than that, yeah.
when you started comedy.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to be comfortable with the material that you're doing, knowing that you talk about drugs, you talk about sex, and this could be, well, sex, you don't have to go in depth, but there's mentions here and there. How long did it take you to become comfortable performing that type of material in front of ethnic crowds and like...
I mean, I talked about very, like when I started, very like, set up punch, like, Middle Eastern stuff that was not funny.
Yeah.
Like it was maybe funny, but to me now it's not. It's like, I would do, what do I do?
It wasn't funny because it was like
it was just hacky. It was like, what's I heard there's like a NASCAR Arab driver. What's next? And you just name like something else that they would do like that.
It's like literally fill in the blanks. Like it's
fill in the blanks. And
okay.
It was years later that, I think that was when I started. And then I was in LA in 2007. I got robbed by gunpoint, pistol whipped. And at the time, I was like playing around with different, like, I was trying to find my voice and doing setup punch. And
you got robbed point blank, like random?
Yeah.
Or someone showed up on you and pulled up?
The two guys. Two guys pulled
You
up.
were going to your house?
No, I was staying in LA. I was going to a friend's house. I didn't even have a home. I was staying at a hostel. I wasn't staying there anymore. I was like homeless basically, and I was going to her, and I was just telling this story, and the person I was telling it to was just like, you know, I don't know if this, like, we were talking about a bigger thing about like motivation maybe, and like what motivated me to be vulnerable in my act, and that was like a little bit of a portion of it, because at that time I was like I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, like, you know, I was like either set up, punch, or this. There was not a definite choice I was making. I think when I got robbed, I was like, oh, they put the gun in my head and pistol at me. I was like, and then they were like, we're gonna shoot you. I was like, it was just a thing of like, I'm just not gonna waste any time.
Oh my God!
Why am I trying to become something that I don't want to become? It's you had to
There's
get
a 9mm in your fucking
you
head.
had to get pistol whipped for you to step on stage and be like, I'm done with this fucking.
Well, I mean, I probably would have found it anyways.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it was just a circumstance. I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of death. So
Are you actively afraid of death?
Yeah.
Is it something you often think about?
I've been talking about afraid of death since, like, actually during the pandemic. I started reading a book about death with my therapist.
Okay.
I think it was probably because I was gonna hit 40.
Yeah.
I was like 39. I mean, a little bit less. Back then, I was super scared, and so when that happened, I was like, oh my God, right? It was like I was like, I need to not bullshit. And then I went back to Toronto, because I was only in LA for 6 months, and I really started to like try to hone in on finding my voice. But even before that, I remember being in Windsor, and this comic, very well-known comic, he was like, he's like, man, don't do the immigrant stuff. He's like a white guy. He's like, you know, Russell Peters does that. And I was like, then I felt like, I don't want to be hacked. And like in my own head, I was like, well, is he trying to say, I don't know what he's trying to say. Like, is he trying to, like,
Is he trying to help me?
Yeah, if I do Lebanese stuff, because Russell Peters' stuff is so dope, is it gonna look like I'm like trying to be like him, or am I trying to be like, is my comedy? I don't know. Is it bad? It was just a thing of like, when he said that, I felt he probably wasn't, that he was implying don't be yourself. Like,
okay, so you took it positively. It wasn't something where you, or would you?
I did, but I mean, also I didn't talk about my dad or my family. I just went and tried to be like, I found my voice talking about other stuff. I mean, it was good and bad, because in my head I was like, what's he trying to say? Like, I don't think he was saying it's a bad thing. It's just like, I think he was maybe just trying to say, you're not going to stand out if all these comics are talking about their dad, like their ethnicities. But that's what like white comics saying all the time, or do all the time, because they're not like, they don't have an ethnicity. Like,
and they talk about their white stuff.
Dad, but then it's some odd reason, you know, like you'll read an article like in like, not in the Gazette or just anywhere, when a comedy writer writes, he's like, and then he did that thing about his dad being ethnic like everyone else. I go, my dad's, he's ethnic. It's not like I'm making it up.
He's Lebanese.
Yeah, it's not like he goes home and shuts the voice off. That's how they sound. Yeah. Oh, sorry. They takes off the mask. Like, it's not how. I think that's what they think. It's just like, but it's just
this is who he is. Like, I'm talking about my reality. If a white comic goes up on stage and talks about his reality,
they always do it.
It just so happens that he talks about his dad.
Yeah.
And
His alcoholic father.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is his ethnicity, his drugs. Like, this is what it is.
Yeah, nobody's like, this dumb Scottish guy's talking about his dumb Scottish dad. There's like 9 white Scottish comics can talk about their drunk dad, and then no reviewer is going to be like, and then there's Cody talking about his drunk, like every other. I think it's, and they do that, and you can see, you can't deny that. It's like every article, but it's also so diminishing to our culture. It's like, you act like, it's like, but that's my father's pain.
Yeah,
my father's not happy that he has a broken accent. That he can't say 100%. He can't say Charles Barkley. He says Charles Broccoli. He's not like walking around like happy about that.
He loves basketball, but he just can't say
any of the shit. So I think it's like a lot of. I was just talking to a comic too that's from Montreal about that, like how talking about his upbringing is kind of looked upon as hacking, and that's and I was telling him, I was like, we don't.
You know who's supposed to guide you in life?
Yeah, like somebody that motivates you, somebody that tells you their real values so that you connect with the person.
You know, someone that is not here to take your money in exchange of giving you value. He's here to teach you life lessons and give you a home, not only physically, but spiritually.
Spiritual, yeah, it's very important to have because a lot of people, they're like errands, they're like hobos, they're like, but they're lost just because they don't have a house. It's not because of mental health. You need A property.
Properly, you need a property.
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 Boop, boop, boop.
Harout. Tachejian.
Harout Tachejian.
This guy's the guy.
Yo.
If you need the guy.
Hey, guy. Oh.
If you need the guy.
If you need the blue, the orange, and the fucking red, bro, you need this guy.
If you need a guy to let you buy a guy and then he gets you a guy that's able to get you a guy, is this guy.
I'm gonna tell you something, okay? There's not a lot of real estate brokers that I know that that they're what's top notch, bro? Top notch is the notch. Harout Tachejian.
This guy will help you find a deuceplex, a fuceplex, a truceplex, and a mooseplex.
A fuckplex.
Everything. If I plex to fuck, this
You
guy's
want
the
it,
guy.
bro? You want the fucking 13 fucking etage that fucks Harout Tachejian. Bro, this guy is Armenian, and when you say Harout Tachejian, you think he's Italian.
HAROUT.TACHEJIAN. J'ai failli avoir un. Je suis tellement habitué de dire en français.
Ouais.
Harout.Tachejian on Instagram. Don't fuck around. Quit your bullshit.
Seriously.
Quit your bullshit.
Just stop it!
DM Harout. Love you.
And for the show.
Enjoy the show.
We don't have a lot of space in this industry for our like Middle Eastern people. We don't have a lot of space. Like we don't have a lot of like how do I say it? Like we're not in
opportunities.
Not even that, but also like we're not like there's not a lot of us. So don't let them take away whatever little we have.
Yeah.
By you being like, I don't want to share my experience because some idiot. Can you swear? Fucking alternative comic talks about pillowcases for 60 minutes.
Talks about fucking camping.
Or not even camping, just like, because that's what happens. Those alt guys will be like, they talk about the lighting and how it's like, the lighting is so low, and they do this weird shit that they fucking talk
it's
in
not
third
as bad
person.
in Quebec here. We have like alt comics.
Yeah.
But I know that, especially going from a scene like Toronto
Yeah.
and going to, let's say, LA or New York, you probably had a bigger clash of these rooms actually living and being like big rooms of people sitting down and talking about plants for 76 hours.
But bro, I don't have even a clash with them. I do their rooms and I like them. I think they're very funny. But don't be snobby with us because we talk about I could do what you do. I can go up and talk about a fucking tree in an obscure way for 45 minutes. That's not. You're not a hero. You're not so amazing. You know what I mean?
You're not the best.
You're not the best. But,
You're not the GOAT.
But I go up and talk over my dad being funny because he's Lebanese and I'm a hack and it's just bullshit. And I told him that this like 2 days ago. I was like, don't listen to these people because they're broke.
Yeah.
Those are broke people telling you how to do your shit. Those are not
100%.
rich ass people. Dude, Sebastian Maniscalco talks about his dad. He's one of the most famous comedians out there.
Absolutely.
That-
Sebastian fucking paved the way for so many people of being like, just be the best at what you do.
Yeah,
And
Russell as well, a billionaire. Like, like
Yeah.
just in a sense that like he's on Forbes. It's just like, what are you doing? It's just like, and then you have, just don't listen. I just was like, don't listen to that. But that's I think I answered. It's just like for so many years I didn't talk about my dad, and I told this comedian, Jocko Alston, rest in peace. He died like years back. I told him a story about my dad. He's like, you don't talk about that? Because we were working at Absolute in Ottawa Comedy Club.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, no, not really. And he's like, man, why? And I told him the story. He's like, man, that's bullshit, bro. Just do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
And I don't know if I did it. I think I might have did it, and then he asked me how it was, or he might have passed away, and I did it after I can't remember. But then ever since then, I gotta say he was the real push for me to start. And then I just started to get like people love the stories.
But your dad is one of the most entertaining people in the way that you describe him. What was your relationship with your dad, in the sense that I never had deep conversations with my father, and I feel like from the way you describe him, he's not someone that it's very personal. And
He's now more because he's like his cancer like spread to his spine, so he's like older, and he's just probably like a little bit more emotional because like he's got cancer. You don't know your own life.
My grandfather was the exact same way. Like his whole life, very hard person, very difficult with his kids, helped everybody around him, but was never emotionally present.
Yeah.
And he just hit a certain point in his life, especially when we were born, that just like a 180, where he starts opening up more. And towards the end of his life, he passed away very recently. he started being more emotionally attached and telling people he loves them and whatnot.
Same. That's what's happening.
Fucking Arab parents, they need to get cancer to be like, oh, maybe I can love my family. Like, this is
So I try to explain it to people, like, about, like, because they'll be like, man, you're hella emotional. I go, yeah, man, because I wasn't emotional for a long life. And I feel like every Arab kid who hits like 30 plus is starting to feel their emotions, and they're just like everything. Because like we didn't have like, you couldn't talk to your, like, my mom was never like, well, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Tell me how you feel.
Nah,
Like, you're like, well, you're being weird, bro. Leave me alone.
Your mom is like, yo, you're weird.
Yo,
bro.
pause.
Yeah, but no,
Pause, mom.
but even she says, like,
Okay.
your mom's never gonna be like,
No,
I
my
made
mom
it.
never.
Or your dad. My dad was never like, Habibi, man, how you feel about this? He's
Or
just-
that's how I feel about something. My dad has
Even-
never said like,
Yeah.
No,
hey,
never.
I feel weird about what's going
no,
on
hala,
between us.
what do they say? They go, they'll tell you how to feel.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Be happy.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's like, I could my it's interesting. It's like, it was my girlfriend. That's how I, like, we talk about that type of like emotion. Like, I'm very emotional, and it's just like, I think in her process, it was more of like, they asked how do you feel, and that blew my mind. I was like, oh, you guys talked about that. That's wild.
There's one thing. When I met my girlfriend and I started going over for supper, the dad wasn't very present and emotionally absent, but the mom was very present with their kids. And she's she's Lebanese, the mom.
Yeah.
But she's a bit more open-minded. She was born in Montreal. She grew up here all her life. So when they would sit down when they would all gather for supper every day, she would sit down and ask them how their day was. And then she would genuinely ask questions. Oh, that happened at work? How come? How do you, like... That's
Well, my
weird.
dad-
Why
my
we would
dad-
sit down for supper and you would not hear a single noise in the house. Like there was no. How was your day? Good.
Yeah.
Because if I said good, but something was difficult in math today, that's because you don't study enough, and because you don't study enough, you will never go anywhere, and you won't get into a good school, and you're gonna end up broke, and you're gonna die.
They
and
have
you're
the solution.
They have the solution.
That's
So
bro. I never, if any of my mom or dad said how my day was, I'd be like, I set off an alarm. Yeah. Now I go, yo, you guys, hey, are you tricking me? Yeah. Yo, this is a scam.
this
That's
is I Am Legend bullshit. Who's the robot here? This
It's like when you hear white people go, it's even like having girlfriends. Girlfriends are like, how was your day? And you're like, yo, who the fuck's asking?
who you work for?
Yeah, who you work for? What do you want to know?
Is there a cam?
Yeah. And then they go, ask me how my day was. You're like, why? I never got.
I never got this opportunity. Why would you feel good about yourself? This is
like, it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't do anything for me. I'll do it. I'll be like, oh, how was your day? It's just like you never grew up that way. It's just like, why would I? I don't fucking
Do you have
know.
reflexes that your dad had with your mom, now with your girlfriend? Do you do some things?
No,
that-
because they both don't ask how their day was. Like,
No, but let's say, do you have little habits that your dad had with your mom that you do with your girlfriend now?
not
in,
as much, because I realized what my
Okay,
dad.
that's good.
Yeah, my
He's
dad's
not
not
that
like. My mom would say, like, my dad's, not that he wasn't loving, it's just like my dad, just again, they probably didn't have both the proper skills. I feel like, they loved us, but sometimes not in the right way.
Don't you feel the same?
They
way?
taught us
Don't
love,
you feel-
but they didn't teach it and it's not, I think, a diss to them. They love our
they did
if
their
anything, if anything, I feel like a Lebanese mom loves you too much. It's detrimental. Like, she'd be like, I did it in the special, the one that I filmed last year, but she's like, Habibi, I live for you. And you're like, what? Like, I read
you die, I die. Like, this is my grandmother on my dad's side. The second her son passed away, her life was over. For 30 years, there was nothing. She would dress in black. She would dress in black every day. She closed up on herself. She started getting sick as of that point. It's like they live, not to make it dramatic, but they live for their kids in the sense of like,
you can make it, because it's true. I show my girl, like, my mom, texts from my mom. It's just like, hello, where are you? Oh my God, hello. Are you, like, these are within 30 seconds. It's like, she's like having a seizure probably. Where's my
is your
son?
mom like that?
Yeah, my mother is Latina and she's like that. She's me. I remember when I used to go to nightclubs and I came back from my house like I was like 19, 20.
Yeah.
Used to come back at 3:00 in the morning. She used to wait in the front of the porch with a wooden spoon just to beat me. And she's like, I was calling you.
Yeah.
Where were you? I'm like, but I told you, like, I'm going to go to, and I was like very specific. I'm going to go to that club.
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 max, I'll be at the house. And I was there at 3:30,
Yeah.
but my mom was waiting. Just fucking, yeah, she was like that. And my mom was so funny. She always asked me how I was. Even recently, I was like, how I was. And I was like, it's a bit hard this. I have 2 kids. I try to do this and that. And my mom, she takes it always personal. She's like, yeah, but I did that for you. Why are you feeling like that? I give you this. I taught you that. I'm like, but it's not about you. It's me. But that's what I'm feeling, yeah.
Because there's a limit to family. We have this thing where family is family.
Yes.
Family. Okay, everything is family. So like I used to say on stage that like, I hate being in a family because my brother's mistakes are my mistake and I didn't ask for them.
Yes.
He's retarded. It's not my responsibility. He should assume his own consequences. But when my brother would act retarded, we would all sit down in the living room and we would all get shot on because my brother was being retarded. Like, it's not so. This thing of like, even yesterday I was calling my mom. She's like, I hate when they do. You sound tired. What do you mean I sound tired?
God.
I'm just sitting down. I'm just chilling. And I hear my grandmother because she's in Lebanon. My grandmother's like, you need to start eating meat again. It's because you don't eat meat. And my dad was just walking in the house. He's like, who's tired? And then he calls me. He's like, what do you need? Do you need money? I'm like, my dad doesn't understand that I was able to move out doing comedy.
Yeah.
Like he just can't process it. It's not something that works in his brain. So he needs to remind me every day that I'm not going to be able to live. Like, it's like, and it comes from a
You're
place of
gonna
love.
fail.
It's like collateral damage, but like in his mind, I can't make a living doing this. So it's impossible that I was able to pay a mortgage and to sustain myself and my wife. And like, there's a limit to what he can assess.
They don't get it.
They try to, indirectly, they try to impose and they take all the blame. It's like they give you shit, but in their minds, it's like,
I'm doing the right stuff.
what can I do? How can I process that? He's started doing something which I don't know if you're ever going to be able to do that. He actually calls his mom and tries to have actual conversations
Every
with her.
day.
Like he tries to like, what did this what do you like? He does a thing where he's like tries to understand the dynamic, the psychological dynamic of like,
disgusting.
you feel this way. Why do you feel? And then he starts asking questions. Do you have the patience for that? Is it something that you
tried
feel?
it. She doesn't care. I go, Mom, how's your day? Habibi, it's fine. What did you eat? I go, no, Mom, how's your day? How do you?
Yeah.
You should call your brother. I started sending her pictures and stuff like that, like about like, yo, this is what we're doing and stuff like that, and then she'll be like, oh yeah, she's not really, because I tell like, my girl is like, I love you how you talk to your parents. She's like, what? I was like, it's just full conversation. She's like, how do you talk to your parents? I go, you don't want to hear that conversation.
It's dry. It's very dry.
It's very. I feel like because everything ends up being in moral, like the moral of the story, like in the sense they try to. The conversation always twists in a zone where it shouldn't be. There's no trying to dig deep and try to understand, like,
because they don't care.
They don't care. And also my dad
my
dad doesn't believe in anxiety, but he's the most anxious person I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like he's had 16 heart attacks. It's not because of maybe cholesterol, but it's just he's always worried.
Same. My mom believes she has massive anxiety, germaphobe, hypochondriac. She's all that stuff.
Oh fuck.
She wears like I said this all the time. When COVID hit, that was her Coachella. She called me.
Yes.
She called me.
Yes.
And she goes, I told you, Habibi. I go, man, this isn't. And she still wears a mask inside.
Okay.
Where she lives with my brother and my dad. My dad's never really there. And she still wears it like when no one's in the house. She'll call me. I'm like, why is her mask on? I don't want to start anything with her. She just wears it. And it's like weird. My dad wears it but my dad got COVID at the beginning of the year and he has like cancer.
And
it was like terrifying, huh?
Okay.
He was terrified more of COVID than of cancer.
I was scared because I was like, fuck. He doesn't understand it because his brother. So my 2 uncles died a week apart last year, not this year, the year before. Remember the vaccines weren't out yet. So they died in February, a week apart from COVID. So that's his brother and his sister's husband. So he was just tripped out because his brother died. He doesn't understand. He already got the vaccine, but he doesn't understand COVID. So then when he got tested positive, he just told my mom, he's like, do I die now?
Oh, fuck.
Shit.
So he had no concept of that. So I don't even
okay
know.
in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, up to some point, he's sick now, so it's
no, he's fine, but
He's
it was
fine?
very terrifying. I mean,
Okay.
again, it's like you're trying to diminish 80-year-old Arab man who never goes to the doctor.
He never went to even now, like it's still a hard time trying. To
I mean,
get
he
into
went late. Probably that's why he might have got cancer.
Okay.
He probably didn't even do checkups.
But
like,
it didn't hurt his body like when
the COVID.
No, the cancer.
Oh yeah, I was. I'll
like
never.
he has pain and he's like, okay, it's
Dude,
Monday.
When I went to the Junos in London, Ontario, and I won that Juno. I remember being in the hotel. He came with me and he was there for the whole thing. But Saturday, I think, was this. They presented the awards that aren't going to be presented on TV. So that's when I found out I won the award. But the next day it was the Budweiser stage, and you watch the televised taping. So all the comics and whoever they brought went. So I'm with my dad, but I think in the hotel he's like, Dave, my back, it hurts, man.
Fuck.
And I was like, oh shit, from what? He goes, and then I was like, oh, he's old as a back injury.
pain is like back pain.
Back
You just
pain,
brush
right?
it
And
off.
I didn't know. And then I text or called my mom or my sister, I think a few days after. I go, Bob's back's hurting. What's going on? And then they didn't want to tell me to worry me. They're like, well, his cancer spread to his spine.
Oh,
And I was
shit.
like, man, imagine being in a hotel room. How crazy.
After winning an award, just
But
like.
not even that, just him going like, he's like, hey,
Oh,
my
and
back.
he's aware. Sorry, he's aware that he has cancer. He's just brushing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my back hurts. I go, what? Like he didn't go, I have my cancer spread. He was just like, my back hurts. I thought he,
Are you okay? Hey, it's my
yeah.
cancer. I'm all
Oh,
right.
you see the-
Don't worry.
it's just
okay.
the cancer.
It's just my
the
cancer
spinal
spine.
cancer. It's just
You
the
want to go
cancer
for
inside
brunch?
my spine.
You want to go for brunch? What? You got spinal cancer,
What the
dude.
fuck is their problem, man?
That's crazy.
I don't know what they try to gain trying to hide something. My parents are in Lebanon now, and there's the maids that live with them. There's
Yeah.
at-home maids, and the maid caught COVID. And my dad has severe heart issues. My grandma's
Yeah.
90 years old, and my mom is there. So of course it's a bit worrisome. The maid lives with them. She's around the house. My brother texted me because he called them earlier, saying that the maid got COVID. They're a bit worried. I called my mom. We spoke for 10 minutes. And I heard that she was actively trying to hide it because she didn't want to bother me before the show.
Yes.
And I know what's going on, and her voice is worried, and she's asking me why I'm tired, and like she's clearly
Yeah.
not okay. I call my dad, and my dad has something to hide, and when he's worried, and it's really like, how are you? Everything good? Are you okay? Are you okay? You're good? Are you good? Okay, and he's gonna repeat it 10 times.
Yeah.
Everything good? And I'm like, fuck, okay, something's wrong, and he just doesn't want to say it. And I can hear him being worried because the second he knew the maid got COVID, he just flew out of the house. Like, my dad doesn't fuck around with that shit.
Well, I mean, we grew up like, I don't want to say just white. I don't want to say white people. Like it's like, we're Canadian. I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian. I was born in Canada, so it's like my Canadian friends never really. It just would blow my mind how they have. It's mostly how they have their not all of them. I don't want to say every friend I had good conversation with their parents, but it's always mind blowing when they're like, it's like
They're so open.
they're open, but they're also like, my mom's my best friend, and you're like, what? What do you mean best friend? They're like, oh, we do everything together. I go, I mean, not that I don't want my mom to be my best friend, but your mom ain't go.
Impossible.
She kicks it with you. She's gonna tell you, Habibi, don't do that. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be one of those.
Yeah,
things
yeah.
where
She's
you're like,
always
Mom.
gonna judge you.
Yeah.
But you know, there's good.
Everything,
There's my girlfriend has a sick relationship with her mom, where there's the limit. When they were young, there was the
Yeah.
limit between being stern but being on your side. My parents were always on the teacher's side.
The
There's
what?
let's say I would do something. Let's
Yeah.
say the teacher would give me shit for whatever thing, and like maybe I'm 10% guilty, but there's 90% where I wasn't doing anything.
Because the teacher is
My
racist.
parents would be 100% with the teacher.
Yeah. My
Their
parents
mom
say that, yeah.
would be against the teacher, but she would educate them at home. Like, stop doing this.
Yeah, some Arab parents don't see your side.
No, there's no sides.
There's no sides. They go, I'm
So
not
now,
seeing the
though,
other side.
I hid everything that I've did from my parents. My parents don't know that I've smoked weed, don't know that I've smoked cigarettes,
Yeah.
cigars, whatever the fuck it is. My parents don't know that I've drank, or now they know, but before I was 18. But now my girlfriend with her mom, we get drunk with her. Like, we chill, we hang out, we have bottles of wine, we eat. Like, it's a different mentality, whereas the education didn't come from discipline 100%.
Yeah.
But your mom being your best friend and her hooking you up with a friend and being like, hey, yeah, if you're done having sex, call me up, I'll pick you up. It's like, okay, there's a certain limit to being a grown up. Like,
I
come
don't
on.
want. It's just
No, I
It's
don't
your
want
own
that.
responsibilities.
It's weird, but it makes me laugh. Like some being that comfortable. I don't know. It's interesting. I didn't.
My dad tries to be like that, My dad is Lebanese from
Yeah.
Lebanon. He's a Lebanese Armenian Colombian, but he's born in Lebanon. Fought with Force Libanaise. How do you say it?
Wait, yeah.
Well, with the wait. But he's like he smokes weed with me. He wants to
He
be
started
like
smoking weed with his dad.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his dad is pure Lebanese, like a Lebanese guy.
yeah, and he's like he wants to have that like friend relationship.
Recently, this is.
It's been like a year ago, 2 years.
Oh, this is not like okay. This is very recent. Then it's not.
No,
like,
I thought he was 17 and his dad would buy him weed and like.
No. It's like now.
No.
My dad is like 60 and we smoke weed together, but it's like.
Did he tell you why he does it now? Like, why is he doing it? Or you just understand? There's a common understanding.
I think before he used to do cocaine, and he stopped doing cocaine. So he said, "I need to do drugs, but I don't want to wreck my life." Because when my dad did cocaine, I didn't see him a lot because like he was selling and doing a lot of cocaine. So I think that he is a how do you say, a junkie personality? He has to
Crackhead?
do not a crackhead.
Oh, sorry.
What do you say?
Sorry. Your dad's not crackhead. I don't mean that. I'm sorry. I don't know what. I don't know how.
My dad is a hobo on Saint Laurent.
I don't know what ties he has with the mob.
It's so
I was like,
funny.
I don't. He shows up to the hotel I'm at. He goes, "You like talking shit?" I go,
So I'm a fucking crackhead. But I think he loves drugs. Like he
from when you were young.
Yeah, from a
No, his dad, like my dad knows his dad, and like
Yeah.
when I told him that I started working with Jacob, he's like, yeah, his dad is ex Ospian, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's like, yeah, his dad is his dad is that. Like his dad is all
What's
about
the X? What's the X? You said X something.
No, I'm not gonna name his dad. I'm like ex Ospian.
yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah,
drop
yeah.
the name because he just said that his dad used to sell coke, so I'm not gonna start giving the address,
But
social
anyway-
security number.
But how did your mom? How did
my
you?
mom is she's like a Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
My dad used to hide bags of cocaine, and my mom was like, it's dough. It's
No, yeah,
farine. Yeah, it's like
I'll
it's
tell you a
flour.
story
No,
about
those
that.
are
but
flour.
Yeah.
It's like flour. So one day, one of her friends, she saw that. She was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And she's like, "Oh, that's flour." And I think the friend tasted it. I was like, "No, that's some fucking good cocaine." And then my mom, she talked to my dad, and my dad was like, "My dad is a real Lebanese. He's like, woman, you shut the fuck up. I gotta do some business. I'll come back in 3 days, and you stay with the kids with me and my sister." And when my dad left and came back, my mom left with everything.
She left. With the coke too.
Imagine, and she started slinging
She
coke.
goes,
on
"Hella."
the
Yeah.
streets.
She goes, "Hella." Yeah. He goes, "Bring the coke back." No.
Yeah, you.
What about the kids? No. You can leave them. But she took you guys.
Yeah, she took us. We went to live at my grandmother's house, and after my dad, like he did like not remission. It's not
Rehab?
Rehab. He did rehab, like a religion rehab.
Yeah.
And stopped doing cocaine, and they came back together, and they got separated like a couple of years ago.
But how many years did it take for him to rehabilitate and you to come back to them?
But it was weird. It was like when I was born, he was there. He left when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. I used to visit him a couple of times. I just have like memories that
Yeah.
I'm in a basement with my dad putting some cocaine in bags. Not joking.
That's hilarious.
He's a fucking Latino putting cocaine. But and then they got separated again. I remember being with my mom with a couple of years. My dad came back to my life when I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And then he stayed. After 13, he stayed like he was always there.
Living with you guys or no?
Living.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
they just recently got divorced.
They just recently got separated.
It's not really
But
a divorce, they're
you know
separated.
how crazy it is? Like all the family, they think they're still married. When we go to suppers, they're together. My mom calls him. He's like, look, Ammo Jacques, he's doing a birthday for his son. We have to be there. And my mom's like, okay. And they're like, they're sitting
so
together.
they're civil, you're saying?
Yeah.
So were they not civil for a long time? Like screaming? Did you hear? I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
why.
it was the
Oh.
birthday.
Didn't
My
she pull
mom-
out a?
My mom was one time. My dad wanted to. My mom was like, "You're leaving the house." My dad was like, "I'm staying. I'm paying." Nah. And my mom's takes out a machete, and she's like, "You're getting the." And she was taking his clothes, throwing out the window. You're like, "You're getting the fuck out of the house." I'm 5 years old and I'm throwing up because I'm seeing my parents getting into a fight. I'm like, stop!
Yeah. How does your sister feel? She goes, I'm there.
There's something so funny about kids puking because they're crying so much, and like at the yes, it's trauma, but it's still
So like hilarious.
I can just imagine his mom with the machete, and he's just like, oh, please.
And me, I'm like, please. I'm like
Dude,
seeking attention.
I want, because you said the bag and sugar.
Yeah.
Or my dad, my little brother went downtown, and we grew up in Windsor, and they're partying, and one of his friends does a lot of coke. But my dad goes to pick them up. This is when my brother was younger, and then I guess the guy dropped cocaine in the backseat of the car. So then my dad, I think, saw my brother Joe, and he goes, "Joe, man, come here." And he goes, "What's wrong with your fucking friend, man? Huh? This guy come in the car, he put sugar everywhere, and he leave, man."
Your dad was pissed about the bees that could have showed up in the car.
Yeah, he's
with sugar
like,
this guy has no respect.
Yeah, has no respect. My brother was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll tell him." And he goes, "Yeah, tell him, man." Like, my dad has
no more sugar in my cars, okay?
Like fucking a little.
Well, my dad left a couple times too, but I don't. When you hear, again, I'm making fun of Canadians. You hear my father left. It's like when someone asks me, I go, "Yeah, my dad left." Yeah, I guess he came back. Yeah,
he only remembered that his dad left when we started doing the podcast because we would talk about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's true. My dad was not here for 6 years of my life."
Because I didn't I never played the victim. I was always like, okay, my father wasn't there for a couple of years. He came back, he left, and it was like,
you didn't like write a rap album, like my dad, like you weren't like Eminem, like my dad was never around. But no, I remember my dad said, "I love you," and left.
Why is it always right before or after trauma that they say I love you?
4 times I can count he said that, but back in the day. But he left. I remember I was in the backyard, but I was playing. I was like, "Okay, bro," because I didn't care. Not that I didn't care. I was like, but my mom was like screaming, like, "Get out of here!" So it's funny. I guess it didn't really.
But they just come back.
They just come back. But I mean, those type of things probably did affect me. I started seeing a therapist 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, and that's when I started to really, really be overly emotional, I believe, because the therapist was just like made me talk about these things I wasn't talking about for fucking 30 plus years. Like, why would I talk about them? And then now I'm like, because they'll be like, "You're super emotional about everything." I was like, "Yeah, man," because it's like she broke the dam.
I've been bottled up for 35 years.
She did that. But it's
Were you an emotional kid? Did you cry a lot?
I can't even remember. To be honest with you, I don't remember.
It's a white noise.
It's white noise. I don't know. Because like my girl asked me
came alive at 37. Like this.
Because my girl goes,
everything's been a blur for
right? Because my girl like, "Were you emotional?" I was like, "I don't know. I used to fight."
You were a fighter?
Before I got glasses, I'd fight. So until I was like 14.
When you got the
glasses,
you got the glasses. Start reading books.
Dude, my cousin would come up to me in the schoolyard. He goes, "Yo, you want to go fight?" Yeah, where's he at? And then I'd walk over and I would just fucking
start ripping.
Just okay. I got beat up. Dude, I think when I was and I super young, when I was like 7 or 9, we were in elementary school, and Chad Cranston's his name. We were walking, and you know how they make you walk in a line to go back to class? He was in front of me. He turned to me. He goes, "Your mom's a pig." And I grabbed him. I don't have this courage anymore. And I didn't know that they washed the floors. So when I grabbed him and I threw him, he slid on his knees, but he slid all the way across, and he hit his head off like a
curling ball.
A door. The door. It was a crazy smack, and then he turned around and I split his head open.
Oh wow!
And I froze because I saw blood, and this guy grabbed me and must have rocked me like 5 times. And I'm just going like this. Holy, I cracked his head open. They were going to expel me maybe. I don't know. My cousins would walk me home. My twin cousins would walk me home. They were like, "You're going to get in so much trouble." Inmate comes. That kid's parents come. They're like, "You split our kid's head open." I was like, holy shit. The kid recovers, Chad. And Chad showed back up to class and he found me. I remember it too till this day. He found me in the schoolyard and I go, "Oh, man." It's fair. You got to go again.
Yeah.
Yo, this guy had more. Obviously, he has more rage. He has revenge. I don't.
Sure. Revenge is a sick variable.
I don't know how he went to the ground, bro. He took his foot. I'll never forget it, and he he smashed his foot on my head to the cement.
But American
yeah, but the way I turned my head, I just hit my top of my head like I didn't do it where my back here. I took my head to the side, so in my eye, like the top of my eye, and I had this big bruise. And then we called it even.
And then you guys shook hands. I went to have a manouche. Like that was it.
But this is in Windsor, Ontario. Immaculate Conception was the school. It was mostly predominantly Canadian white, like real, like not hipsters, like the real kid, like
crackhead,
American ex-whites,
meth moms.
but not even racist. Like they loved, like we had like, because our school had like a lot of like, it had groups. It had like the Latino group that played soccer. I fuck with them heavy, like Santos, Raul, Phidias, and then we had the basketball guys. I think they're mostly Filipinos. Dilip.
Oh shit!
I'm just ratting these people out with their names. And then the white boys were all my boys, like Jason Rainoni, Chad Kranz.
Private school or public school?
Public. So I was good with every group. I was also a nerd. Like I was a dork. I had buck teeth, curly hair. I had warts on my eyes. But I don't think it was like, they were just old school. Like it just, our school, if you showed up new, you'd have to fight someone. I remember that was the rule. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
The guy showed up and then you'd come over and you'd be like, well, you're new to the school. Let's go. I remember Dilip fought a guy three rounds. First recess,
Jesus
lunch,
Christ.
and then the second one. And it was wild. We just used to just fight. So I don't think I was like really emotional.
Okay, so you were just
No.
It's crazy that you remember the punches that you got in your life, but you don't remember
your emotions.
Your emotions.
No, because I was picked on. I was also ugly. Like girls would go, I ain't dating you. I don't know if I dealt with that when I was 14. I was going to the orthodontist maybe once a week. I had an overbite. I had headgear, retainer. I don't think I dealt with it. I don't think I dealt with that from 14 to 17. Like I don't remember being like, my mom would be like, hello, you're beautiful. I don't remember being like, what do I do? Like I don't. Like,
I'm beautiful. I'm a fucking transformer. The fuck do you?
I don't remember that.
Optimus Prime shit.
But I remember being on Maury Povich. Like, this is why my life. Yeah. And then I went to college. I don't remember really. Like, I'd be emotional, but I mean, not like I am now. Not like I'm. Yeah. And then I think I started comedy, and then I was like, then I started to get attention, and I would be emotional, but it was nothing like the last 4 years because I really never wanted to tap into it. I was like, I was closed. I didn't want to see a therapist. I thought you were crazy. Back then, this is before therapy was popular. Now it's like getting a new iPhone. People have like 6 therapists. People are like, I'll come with you. You're like, no. Couples
I'll
therapy.
refer you this
There's
one.
horse therapy. You're like, fuck out
What?
of here. Yeah. I don't even want to get into it. And there's healers. Like, there's so much. Back then, I think if you said I'm going to a therapist, you're like, oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
he's
schizophrenic.
You're whatever it is. And especially early on in the Toronto comedy scene, I didn't want to be known as a guy who went to therapy, so I didn't. And I needed it. And then I just
fucking
went.
Tony Soprano went to therapy. I feel like we all.
But I mean, it's TV, right? You're like, but also, what are you gonna tell Tony? You're a loser. Like, you're not.
Is it about the gabago?
So, I think I was doing a podcast I used to do called The Beautifully Anxious. It's me, Fivos, and Ben, who's a real therapist. So we were in there. We'd shoot it in his office. Ben owned the company with someone else, and we were like, I was telling him this. This is like 2017, 18. We had done about 3 episodes, and I'm telling this story about when we were kids. You both might be able to relate to it. It's like if we had company, my grandmother and my aunt and my mom their friends would sit and play cards. They'd eat, But if we were bad, we would have to kneel against the wall.
100%.
Oh my god.
So this one time,
Not in your jeans and shorts.
Yes, me, my sister, my cousin were kneeling against the wall in the kitchen while they're playing cards.
Hands up or down?
Hands
up. Hands up.
Ass couldn't touch the back of your feet.
Absolutely not.
Bro, I think it was my cousin or my sister. I was next to them. And I can see them slipping. I go, no, and they're slipping.
We're all fucked because if one
Yeah.
slips, we're all
We're
fucked.
all fucked. Then they came around. Pow, pow. I was like, you slipped. So I'm telling that story, but I'm laughing. They're not laughing.
Yeah.
So
they're not laughing.
No, they didn't grow up that way, bro. They didn't grow up like us.
But honestly, if someone did, because we have this reality, but if you go up to someone that has never seen or even heard about this, you're like, what, your mom used to make you kneel for 15 minutes with your hands
30
up?
sometimes.
30,
bro.
45.
And me, I had variants. My mom used to take off the socks, and with the belt, she used to hit the palm of my feet, and then she was like, get up and take a walk. And I'm like, no, I'm staying here because it hurts.
Hello, we weren't doing CrossFit back then. Yo, if I was doing CrossFit and we had no exercise. So I'm telling them, and they're just staring at me. And then Fivos is like, he's British. I think I can't do his accent, but he's like, that's not funny. I think you need And then I was like, it dawned on me. I go, man, this shit is not funny. This is
Child
painful.
abuse
Yeah,
is
this
not
painful.
hilarious.
Yeah,
This
and then
hurts.
after the episode, I went to the Ben, who's the therapist. I go, hey man, I think I need help. Can you hook it up? And he hooked it up. That's how I went to therapy. I was doing a podcast about therapy, not going to therapy. I go, this stuff is bullshit. But I was telling people to go do it. I was like, it's all.
Fuck.
And then it wasn't until that. And then
Did you laugh about it with your brothers? Because I have these clear memories where we were 15, 16, still fresh. We would like, last time my dad laid hands on me was like maybe 12, 13. It was still fresh. We were maybe 15, 16. I have these clear memories of us sitting down in a manouche place in a bakery with my mom and my brothers. And my younger brother was still getting the shit beaten out of him because he was like 8, 9.
Yeah.
So we'd be sitting down, but we would be crying, laughing, talking about the stories where
still-
my dad came back home, saw a detention, and I was in bed in my pajamas at 3 p.m. So I got a detention and you have to sign a paper.
You're already crying.
I put the paper on the table. Downstairs in the living room, I got upstairs, I brushed my teeth, put my pajamas. It's 3:30 p.m. Okay, sun's out. It's the middle of the summer. Okay,
And you know you're gonna die.
I'm in bed. I'm crying in bed because I know my dad's about to. My dad walks in. I hear him happy. When my dad was whistling, it's because he was happy. So I hear him walking in. I hear him talking about my mom. Hey, how's it? Where's Emile? It's weird. All the kids are downstairs, but Emile's not here. He's like, oh, he's upstairs in bed. He's like, why? Why is he in bed? It's 3:30 p.m. And he sees the paper, and I just hear my dad walking up the stairs. I'm like, oh my god. You get up and he just lifts you by the shirt. You get wrecked 2-3 times, and then you sit down. My dad would beat the shit out of us. Then he would talk to us for an hour and a half, and then he would give us our pocket money. So he would be how do you say argent poche? Our allowance.
Yeah.
So he would finish that. He's like, you're never leaving your room ever. That's it. You stay in your room and you study
There you
for
go, $20.
You study for 12, 15 hours. You leave your room. It's going to be the end of your life. And then that's it. He would give me $100 and then he would leave. Yes. and then 3 hours later, he would go upstairs. He's like, are you ready for the birthday party? I'm like, what do you mean? You just told me if I leave my room for the next 10 hours, you're going to kill me. He's like, what are you talking about? Get dressed. We're going to the birthday party. So then you're just, when you're done having sex for the first round and you're ready for round 2, but it's always like a bit like there's a 15% weirdness in your erection. Like you're not like it's not as hard.
That's how.
So you're at the birthday party, you're a bit like tired from crying so much, and like it's like you don't know how to feel.
I mean, we laugh. Look, I'll be very honest. We laugh at it, and we think when people who think it's weird, I think they're soft.
yeah, that's it.
I go, you're soft. Part of me goes, you're soft, but the reality of it is it's not good.
It's not good.
But I mean, to us, we'll laugh at it, and then when people are like, this is just like, is it trauma? You're like, yeah, this is, yeah.
That's just childhood.
Who the fucking hasn't had trauma as an Arab kid? Like, I don't
How
know.
boring is your life if you've never had trauma,
But I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How boring is your life if you've
boring.
never been touched by your uncle?
Because
Like,
you
this
do-
is
Because I'll tell you this story too. I did these fundraisers for Lebanon like a few years ago or a year ago in Toronto, and with another Jose, right, another Lebanese but all of the Arab comics, and we put it on in Toronto, and I'm with some people on the it was in the back patio. This one thing you couldn't be inside bars, and this one of the audience members walks by. He goes, "Hey man, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't laugh at anything you said, man." And I was like, "Oh," he goes, "It just made me realize that I should talk to my father," and then just left. And then we were all like, but I don't think the people there was like mostly white people. I go, I got it.
yeah.
They were like, "Oh, that's bad." I go, no. That's he hasn't. He dealt with any of this.
Yeah.
He understood.
He understood completely. He's like, "Oh, I should talk to my dad."
I should talk to my dad.
We all like. That's how I started writing. Even I wanted to do like a TV show about mental health in Arabs. Is because in my family, it's because me and my cousin, Mira, we were like, she's telling me about her kid and about the raising and certain way to raise your kids and stuff like that. And she goes, we're looking or watching our parents, and we both go, man, we were raised fucked up. Like, we both go, we're both in our like,
You never
40s.
realize until
You
it's
realize it because she's explaining how do I raise like certain aspects of her own
Yeah.
kid. And then like she's doing all these things to like care for the emotion. There's delicacy, right?
Yes.
And then you look at your parents and they're like eating like peanuts or whatever, and they're laughing. Like, Habibi, and then you're like, yeah, you didn't do that. Yeah. You could have been more cushioning.
I have 2 kids, and
No, I was saying you. I didn't.
Yeah, I have two little girls, and now I'm conscious when I do mistakes, when I'm being like too rough. I'm like, holy fuck.
He apologizes.
Yeah, I apologize to my kid, and like one of my daughters, she's 3 years and a half, and she's so smart. One time we go to the daycare, and I told her to put a hat because there's a sun. I'm like, it's not gonna be good for your head, and she's like, I don't want to put it, and I'm like, okay, perfect. If you don't put it, you're not gonna do the activities in the daycare, and she's like, give it to me, I'll put it right away, and I'm like. I give it to her. I'm like, you know what, Nora? I just lied. I'm sorry. Even if you put or you don't put your hat, you're still gonna do the activities.
That's bullshit, though. This is not. This is too much.
She looked at me and she said, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, because you don't fucking listen.
Yeah, they don't
Jesus fucking Christ.
But they can't because now they have Google. We could
his 3-year-old daughter on Google. Like, if I don't put cap, will I do jump rope outside? This is
but I mean, because you're trying to express yourself, so we never were able to. Like, I just trying to picture if my mom's just like, "Khalas, put it on." Why?
Yeah.
Put it on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess right, and that's how. So now you're. I mean, that's good that you're doing that. I literally thought you were only 19 years old. I don't know how you have 2 kids. How does he have 2 kids? Holy shit. I was like, I'm 57 years old. I should have 1 kid.
My dad can't comprehend how this is his job. Like, he has 2 kids. He has a condo. Like, he pays for, like,
I have a mortgage.
Every time I'm like, oh yeah, I was with Jacob at the studio. We just finished doing the podcast. He's like, how does he live? I'm like, he's a comedian. He's like,
yeah, but your dad doesn't know about how money it is to be a Quebecois comedian.
No, he doesn't understand it. Because even like he just started understanding. Like, I try to now. I don't talk about like I used to send pictures of like this is the venue I'm at now. This is just to make them feel because I don't really talk like we don't go in depth in conversations, but I try to make them feel part of the process because they've been not really supportive, but they have somewhat been supportive at a distance.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my mom, I make her feel like, oh, it's important. There's a lot of people. But when I'm talking to my dad, it's mostly like, hey, this is how much I'm getting paid for this gig.
Yeah, that's all they.
And it's not from a place of like you need to have more money. It's just for him to be like, oh, okay, like, this is how they understand. This is how they.
My mom still to this day, she's like, I was like filming Rami's the 3rd season I filmed this show Rami. So he goes, my mom's like, Habibi, are they paying you? I go, yeah. She's like, and I tell her the amount. She goes, and you still don't have money. I'm like, what?
Do you?
Hala, you know when you get real money, well, you'll be fine. I go, okay, but I got there's steps.
Yeah.
Let me enjoy this.
I mean, that's a fairly good step. You were on Rami for 3 seasons now. You did the Netflix special. When did you start? Because we grew up, I feel like all of us with that financial aspect of fuck, I need to be stable. At what point in your career did you start feeling like, oh fuck yeah, I'm not worried about the bills now. I'm not.
I mean, I haven't had a day job since 2010, but I was in Canada till 2016. I was able to make a little money in Canada, right?
Okay.
But I still had like roommates and stuff like that. I could have probably lived on my own as well because I was building up myself in Canada. Like I would headline clubs, I was doing festivals. So I could have probably got an apartment back then, not now. Maybe a basement apartment somewhere for $1,400 rent in Scarborough.
Okay.
And I could have survived not like crazy amount. I could have went like probably month to month doing comedy and stuff like that. I was but I had, again, I was living with roommates, so I was able to like not have a job. And I also tapped into the independent scene in Canada. Some good people put a lot of money in my pockets, like, you know, like Chris LaBelle out of Calgary. He employed me a lot. You know, that I'm ever
giving you comedy gigs?
A lot of gigs.
Oh,
like,
shit.
you know what I mean? Especially in Calgary, Thunder Bay. So he did really, I got to give him his props there. And then, you know, just working with, and then I was also creating independence on myself. It wasn't, dude, then I moved to the U.S. and I just wasn't working as much as in Canada. I wasn't working there, and I was really like, and I was only making nothing, bro. I think at one point I had $980 in my American account, maybe. And then I was losing money in Canada. And I remember I got the Netflix thing because somebody had dropped out. So they had called me a month before. It was like in June, and my agent was like, "You're on the short list, I think it's called."
I remember that. I remember calling you, seeing your name at the thing, and I think even you were unsure. Like, are you sure? Are you not sure? I don't remember if.
Yeah, I didn't know, and then I messaged him again, and I was like, "Yo, what's up?" Before that I did Mr. D, but like I was like, made money and had like a development deal, but it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, in America I wasn't. And I remember they were like, they called me and they're like, you got it. And I lost. I was like, oh, this is crazy. And I think I was Bank of America in Ridgewood, Queens. I was living in Ridgewood. I was like, they were trying to wire me the money, but it was taking a while because it was from like, they were wiring it in Canada. And I remember having like a fit. I had like not $98 maybe at this point. And I knew the money was coming. I knew the amount of money. I knew like over like maybe over like 20,000 was coming in or something like that. I knew that was coming. So I wasn't like, I didn't think I was, but I was like, and I think I was like 38 maybe. And I was like, what?
Oh my.
What predicament am I in here that I'm like so desperate for this money? I was like, people have families. So I was like, and I was battling like before that, even like the most depression I've ever had. Well, I was going to quit. I was thinking about quitting.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Comedy?
Because you were not seeing the opportunities coming in at a certain age, or because you were hustling for so long and you were not getting what
I
you
was
think
just
you
like,
deserve?
you know, I was like, I would have these thoughts, these like isolating thoughts of like, you know, man, I tried my best. I did some stuff.
You worked hard, bro.
Yeah, I worked really hard.
You
you
hustled
know.
for a fucking long time.
The one thing I took I took like, you know, I was very proud. I was like, you know, man, I found my own style and I was able to do that style for a long time. At least I did that in stand-up. At least like if anyone watches my stand-up, like, oh, he was himself. So I was coming to, it was almost like I was killing myself.
Drugs, alcohol, not really?
Nothing. It was just like I was going to kill.
Yeah.
You're
Like,
not really, you don't consume.
I get saucy. My lady says you like to get saucy. Yeah,
but
but
it's
I'm
not
not
a
like alcohol.
problematic
No,
thing, right?
I'm not
We'll have a drink
I'm
if
gonna
there's
get
a
saucy
drink,
and go
but-
fight my
You're
ex-girlfriend.
gonna go fight your baby mama.
Yeah, dude, I just get. I think she's like, you just like to get. Yeah, I like to get saucy and listen to rap music. This is the future. Talk
I like
about
to twist my
toxic
cap.
shit.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. She's like, but you like to keep going. I go, yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? I just like
Fucking
having a
loser has one drink and calls it a night. Those
one
guys are
drink
the
is for
worst.
losers. It's
Yeah,
impossible to have
it's
one
enough I had today. Really. You got pickles and a beer. Yeah. But that, so I was super. No, I wasn't. It was nothing. I remember calling my best friend and his wife and with FaceTime. I was like, the reason I didn't want to quit is because I was like, didn't want to get asked about comedy. So I was like, what if I moved to a small town, gave my phone number out to a few people and just disappeared? I was like on the brink of that. I was like, because it's not like
doing what though?
nothing.
What was your plan?
I was
Nothing,
like,
okay.
just get a job or
So
something.
basic job, whatever.
But then I was like, man, I don't know how to do anything else anymore. I'm too old. Like, and I just love comedy so much. It just was this internal battle that I hadn't had in a long time. And I was just like, and I wasn't mad. I was like, I don't want to get bitter, so I'll just quit.
Oh shit.
And I just felt like I was like, you know, people would always be like, oh man, your style's so unique. I go, then I started to get mad at them. I was like, they lied to me. Because in my head, the currency was if you were different, you'd get on or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was all really not well thought out. I wasn't seeing a therapist at the time, so it was like very dangerous. And then that's when the Netflix, and I remember Rami himself was like in New York. We were at the Stand. We were doing like Arab Comedy Festival, and no one really knew how depressed I was. And I also was in New York doing open mics at 38. I was like, I hate this.
where you have to pay for shows.
Yeah, so I was like, he was like, did you want to audition for the show? I was like, yeah. And I really did the audition not thinking I was going to get it. Not that I didn't care. I just was like, I'm too depressed, so I'm just going to do it how I do it.
And
then
they loved it.
I booked it. And then around that, then we started filming. And then I think that's when I saw the most financial stability was with Netflix, Rami, season
Fuck,
1,
so it took
2.
you like 15 years.
20 years, I would say.
You
bro.
lived a very nomadic lifestyle too. Like you were always
very
traveling,
bohem.
like literally.
It's a month. That's why I tell people, they're like, how do even this run? I'm here from July 12th. I don't go back to LA till maybe August 8th. They're like, how do you do that? I was like, I used to it. You develop like the skin to be away for like 1 or 2 months. You know how to deal with like relationships. You know how to like, you know how to protect your heart from missing your family or anyone else. It's like, it's not all healthy, but you just learn it over time.
And Rami, did you see a big break in the sense of your venues were filling up quicker afterwards in the States especially? Or because I feel like it didn't really touch us here, Rami. I feel like it was something, especially that it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
It was something that was a bit more American.
It's American
maybe
and in other
outside.
countries.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I went to Lebanon for the first time, I got recognized the first
Oh,
night
shit.
by some guy on a patio. He was like, Rami. And I was like, yeah. And which was wild. I was like, that's crazy. But I mean, no, not. It's not. It's what it's how. It's. I always wanted to be an actor, anyways. I always wanted to do stand up and then act, and then like still do stand up. But I would really love to just do movies.
Okay.
You know, I was able to do one last year co-starring with Daisy Ridley. It's called Sometimes I Think About Dying. So we filmed the whole month, and it was what I wanted. That was my whole dream, was just to get into a movie.
Oh shit!
So then I just felt really,
And you guys won an Emmy on the show. It was.
Well, no, he got nominated for. He won a Golden Globe.
Golden
for
Globe,
Best
sorry, not
Actor,
an Emmy. Yeah, Golden Globe.
But what it's brought me is it brought me that movie. They saw me in Rami, and they casted me. Like, I didn't have to audition. They casted me to co-star with this super
so you
famous.
passed just because of the series.
Because of
Oh,
Rami.
nice.
The director wrote me a letter.
That's sick. Now that you're getting these
Holy
opportunities now
Because
to
of
be
Ram-
able.
I mean, I don't know if, like, I'll be at shows. It's not like it's filling up like thousands of seats, but I'll be at shows and people in America or even in Canada sometimes like, yo, I watch Rami, or I saw you from Rami, or I saw you from this. So it's helping. Not like I'm not doing 10,000 seats or 1,000 seats, but I mean, I think after this season, it just, the more you build. But I mean, for more importantly, it's helped me get in rooms for acting and other opportunities. Help me get agents better. Help me get like talks with production companies. Oh, he's acted. You've been wrong. There was a point where I was just doing a lot of general meetings, and they just knew that they would talk about that show for like 20 minutes before we started the meeting.
Oh wow!
So that show in
It
America,
was a groundbreaking show though, for people
in America for sure.
Yeah, for
Like,
people that don't know about the show, Rami was the first like Muslim-based comedy / drama.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
a
considered-
drama,
it's a drama.
dramedy or
Dramedy.
drama. Yeah,
dramedy.
Yeah,
Dramedy is what drama
and
with
comedy
Yeah.
together. It's not purely
It's
just
like a
comedy.
bit, and Rami put a lot of Arabs on the map. Like
He did.
in the
Mo
sense that-
Amer's on the show.
Mo Amer, who opens for Dave Chappelle.
May, who's in Moon Knight. Hiem. Just like, just a lot of people that,
Yeah.
Amer, just everybody, like the whole cast, basically, if I'm being honest, right? It's like, Steve is white, so, but he got put on to
what's
Steve
his
Way.
name? He has dystrophy, muscular dystrophy.
I believe, but he's working with Judd Apatow. Everybody benefited.
of this series.
Most 2 Netflix specials in the the Rock movie that's coming out. He has his own show on Netflix. It's everyone really like. So I think it has elevated all of us. You know what I mean?
Fucking
and
sick.
also,
I saw you hustle, bro. I've seen you since the first time I met you in like 2012, I think 2011, when you came to do the Couscous comedy show.
Yeah, because I did Homegrown in 2011, then I did a taping in 2012. Actually, Couscous, I probably came in 2009. No, I didn't. Sorry.
I think it was 2013 maybe.
Before that, because I would do it a lot in 2011, 12, and then I came back. I was at Zoo Fest.
Yeah.
And then at the time I was dating a comic named Aisha Alpha.
Yes.
And we both did Couscous, I think. I
Did
remember
Couscous-
introducing her to him. I'm like, this guy's pretty pretty out there.
He likes to wear carpets as
Yeah,
jeans.
yeah.
This is style.
Uncle Fofi?
Uncle Fofi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Uncle Fofi,
it was a
yeah.
lot of like, I remember those times in Montreal being, not that the times aren't it was so sweet back then. It was a lot of stuff I was going to that was super cool. The comics were cool. It was such a great time in Montreal, I would say from 2009 till around that to before 2000.
You used to come every year anyways to headline the Nest, and I have this. I was just telling them the story of the first year you came to Couscous, and then I made it a point to go see your new hour every year because you would come back and fucking. I knew that even though, let's say you had the hour that you were still running the year after, there would be a 45 minutes of improv just fucking talking about a cup that fell. And I remember that year you came to the Nest and they still had the sign Happy New Year's up on the wall. And you did like 33 minutes just about the sign. It started here. It finished fucking God knows where.
I remember that, yeah.
My younger brother had to get up and leave after 20 minutes because I think he broke one of his ribs because he was laughing so much. And he had to sit outside like a fucking retard just waiting for the show to end because he couldn't come back in and sit down. So when you were talking about finding your style, we've been in touch from afar, from close. You came on Habibs and La Luz, and like we've always stayed in touch.
What a great time. I need a hoodie again. I
You
ruined that hoodie. I wore that out with there's a hole in it.
Everybody that I've given everybody that received the Habibs and La Luz hoodie, it just became their skin. Like I would see
it literally
pictures
has
of
a
Dave
hole
and
in
like
There's like stain.
It was
oil,
bad, dude.
Mazola oil.
whatever the fuck.
Somebody was like, you got a hole in there. Yeah, I know. But I mean, go ahead.
So I saw you hustle fucking for 10 years and seeing the growth and seeing the wins from afar, and even you're so humble in the sense that even up until now, Joseph, my brother-in-law that takes pictures, whatever, like you remember seeing him 5 years ago at the show, and like you stay in touch with the crowd. But leading up to that, we've always, since I met you, your goal was to go perform in Lebanon. It was always this thing. We spoke with Wasim of like trying to build like us going together. Was it the first time that you went to Lebanon this year?
Yeah. And
And your both parents are Lebanese.
yeah.
Okay.
I went both to their villages. So I originally went to my dad's village in Zahle. And I FaceTimed him, and he kind of didn't know where I was like, is this where you kind of lived? He goes, yeah, it didn't make any sense. And we ate there, beautiful place. But then I didn't know if I would have time to go to my mom's village, Serel, and it was beautiful. It's like a village, and the sceneries. It's, you say you go to LA and it's beautiful. I mean, man, this was beautiful, man. I still can feel it with me now. It was calming. I went with like Paul Elia, who's gonna do low key here at Just for Laughs, and my friend Reem and Natalie Akkar. Natalie Akkar is a very funny,
She's fucking hilarious,
Lebanese comedian who's from Lebanon but lives in New York, and she was going there, and then she kind of motivated me to go. She's like, you should go. You should see where you're from, and man, we go to Serel, we stop, we just pull over somewhere, beautiful, and then Paul was recording everything. And then I FaceTime my mom, and I'm like, Mom, do you know where? She's like, anything that we can go see. She goes, I think a church. I hang up. I walk over to Reem, Natalie, and Paul, I think, or just Reem and Natalie. They're talking to this shorter man, and they go something. They're like, oh, he's from the Reshwan family. And then he goes, the man goes, Najla, Georgette, Saidi. I was like, those are my aunts and my grandma. He goes, yeah, I'm the cousin of your. Oh, shit. What the fuck? And we were like, whoa. And then he's like, yeah, come here. I'll show you where your mom grew up.
Oh, shit.
So it was like a block away. And then I FaceTime my mom. I was like, is this the place you grew up in? She goes, I was born in that house.
Wow.
She's like, please,
Still
Habibi.
the house.
Yeah, touch the house. And I touched it. And then she's like, I'm getting very emotional. And I took her to the church she went. And then I called my grandmother, who was 98, Saidi. And they talked. So they got to. My mom left when she was 8 years old. So then she's talking to her cousin, and took them to the church. And it was just when we went to his house, and then he showed me his record setup. He was like playing music on records. He had Rambo on DVD. I go, what's this? I go, Rambo? He goes, Rambo.
Rambo.
They put an extra oomph in Rambo. All the Arab guys, Rambo. Like they know.
It's the number one insult. Whenever you try to do something that is a bit.
Rambo?
Rambo, tu prends pour Rambo. Because Rambo was Rambo. Like Sylvester Stallone was God. It was Rambo in the Middle East is
Rambo is Chuck Norris.
Yeah, Rambo is our Chuck Norris.
Yeah. So he was like, and he got so jacked when I had the record. I go, Rambo. Like he probably like tells his wife to call him Rambo or whatever the thing, right? And the sad part, not even the sad part, we were leaving. We had to leave, and then he's like, this is my brother. He's outside, and he goes, we're talking. And my Arabic isn't that good. So he goes, I was like, I was talking to Saidi, and he goes, and he got sad because he probably never talked to her, and you know what I mean, and he looked like he was gonna cry, and then I got awkward and slid back in the car. I go, this is weird.
Emotions, no way.
No, I was like, I don't. Well, I just don't know the guy that I just met him and he's like, I could see it in his eye. He goes, Saidi. Like they left.
Oh wow!
They left.
They never came. They never
came back. My mom left at 8, never went back.
She never went back. Your dad never went back to Lebanon.
Never went
back.
They
didn't want to know anything about Lebanon.
They just didn't. They left. My dad left at a time of war, I believe. Doesn't want to go back. My mom has massive anxiety. She ain't getting on no plane.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Back, and that's why she was so emotional. And then we went to, on our way out, we went to a convenience store, and then I was like, I thought about we went to a church. He took us to this church in the mountains. It was wild. Even if you're not religious, the artifacts and the structure's beautiful. We're in a cave, bro. And it was wild. So I was gonna get oil for my girlfriend because she loves to cook. I was like, so they got me oil in a Pepsi bottle.
Oh shit!
That's when you know it's the pure stuff.
That's OG.
Pure from 6 Lebanese hands of women. Yeah. So the woman, they go, oh, he's Canadian. She's like, oh, Leamington, Windsor. The woman behind the counter, I go, yeah, I'm from Windsor. She goes, yeah, nah, Andy. I have a nephew, my sister. And I go, what's your name? She goes, Cecine. I go, Sarkis Cecine. That's my cousin. She goes, I'm the aunt. And they show me a picture of the whole family. I know that guy. I went to school with him. And And I took the picture. We took a picture together, and I sent it to Sarkis. I go, bro, your aunt in Sirel, which is why it's not wild in a sense. It's maybe a smaller village, but it's still crazy. We ran.
Everybody ended up in Windsor. This is
and just the sequence of meeting everyone, and then I said bye to my mom and my grandmother's cousin, and he started crying. I didn't see it. He just wiped his eyes, and it was like, what a beautiful. I always wanted to go, and then if I could perform, but I think those moments were just a lot more special to me.
They're unique.
Then more that we performed 2 shows with a group down there, a promotional group in a club. They set it up with Paul.
Awkward.
We did low-key awkward. We did low-key comedy, and that was all Paul. Paul set that up with Natalie. That's
Paul's
all
Lebanese, right?
Paul's a Chaldean.
Okay.
He's from Michigan.
Okay.
So he set it all up. I didn't do anything, to be honest with you. I was just co-hosting, but it was a wild experience. There's 200 seats, so it sold out 2 shows.
Wow.
Me and Paul didn't do a good job of explaining the show off the top because there's also a lot of the other comics.
It's a lot of riffing and
It's riffing. It's like they're, and all the other comics mostly did it in Arabic, except for Selma Hindi and I think Natalie.
Okay.
I think the rest were, so they're probably used to a certain way. We were better in the second show.
Okay.
We had a rough first show, me and Paul, but it was still cool to perform in Lebanon, in Beirut, doing this show. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a very it's an experience that will never leave. It shouldn't leave, and it did a little bit alter how I feel and think about everything. Just to know where my parents were from, and I was able to work hard, make money off comedy, and then go back to Lebanon and show them where they were from, and
That's
go into their
crazy.
villages before I die. I was able to be like, man, I did it. I got to see, and I kind of understand them a bit more.
For sure, because you go
both of
back
them.
to the. Are you a religious person? Were your parents religious?
My mom and sister, they're super, super religious, Catholic, Christian, right? And I've read the Bible. I mean, I started also praying, doing Ramadan. I'm not Muslim, but I have friends, so I started to kind of learn about Islam.
Islam, el Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Not reading the Quran, but I did Ramadan this last year. So I fasted for 18 days and I prayed. With the help of YouTube, I prayed maybe 5 times. I did every day except for one day. I did 5 times a day.
Oh wow! Okay, you went
How
full
much?
out.
It's
Yeah.
how much time when you pray?
Like the time of praying?
Yeah, the time of praying.
It's like I on the YouTube thing, it was 7 minutes. And
Okay,
some
it's
prayers
good.
are shorter. I just don't know. I'm trying to follow.
For
just
sure.
learning and then I'll pray with friends when they pray. So it's if they're I
Yeah.
want to pray right now. I was like, and the show helped. On the show, I played devout Muslim. That kind of influenced me a bit. And just being around friends. And I just thought, I think it's just a beautiful religion.
Yeah.
It piqued your curiosity more than Christianity.
Yeah, because Christianity was something I was put into.
Yeah,
My
you
mom's
were
like, you're
shoved
gonna
in it.
do this.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever actually experienced religion on my own.
Okay.
So I
Did you mention that to your parents?
Yeah, they're like,
How did
yeah.
How did they
Some days, I don't know. I think they might think I'm joking. I don't know, but I did tell them I did Ramadan. Fasting was wild.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It's till the sun goes up, goes
Yeah.
down. No water, nothing.
Nothing. Bro, I would wake up at 4 a.m, eat a bunch, and then go to sleep, pray, go to sleep, and then just carry out.
With our schedules, it's not
doesn't
that
it-
bad with the comedian schedule.
Well, no, I was filming.
Ah,
Rami.
no,
This is
that's
during
fucked.
Rami, and I didn't film every day, so I don't know. And then Rami and Adil, another he's
Full
a
days, no
producer on
eating.
the show. Man, they would be on set and I'd be on set a day off fasting. I don't know how you guys are doing this, but they just do it all the time. They do it
Yeah,
every
they're
year.
used to it.
I wasn't used to it. It was 2 days. I was gonna faint. I would probably. My head was it's like somebody was punching me in the head for hours, and I just had to nap. I was like, I'm gonna. But it was. I had a great. I was praying on the Rick Mercer tour in the green room.
wow.
They'd walk in sometimes and see me praying,
Okay.
and it would be
Did you do the full? Are you Muslim now or no?
No,
you
no,
didn't.
no,
Okay,
no.
so you're just trying to get accustomed to the prayers. And
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a ritual to become a Muslim?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
gotta.
you need to go through the. I don't know what are the.
I don't know the
exact
full
steps.
details. Yeah.
I'm just on YouTube watching the tutorial how to become.
It's like, hey, what's up, guys? I want to thank you so much for being here.
Don't forget to subscribe at the channel Muslim 101.
You know what's cool about sheikhs though? Sheikhs that are white, they always have cool stories how they became sheikhs.
I love seeing white people with the.
What's a
how they-
sheikh?
Sheikh is like
the.
Oh, sheikh. Okay, yeah.
The sheikh would be like, I saw this guy in what is it?
But it's often like,
NYU.
yeah.
He was like, brothers and sisters, I used to sell drugs.
Yeah, it's always like this. I used to do crystal meth on Tuesdays, and then I woke up one
cocaine
morning.
at the airport.
Yeah, they're like, now I found Allah, and they're like, yo, man, Allah. I go, yo, that's such a
I feel
cool
like
story. Then a priest, the priest story is so basic. You went to school.
A
like,
reborn Christian is less cool than a
less
reborn
cool.
Muslim.
Yeah.
Catholic priests, it's like that too. When I went to like most of us, it's French Catholic, but I went a couple of times to English Catholic, and the Catholic when they're like trying to how do you comment to dire engager, employ,
Engage, hire people.
hire people. They're like they tell their own stories, and the priest is like, look at all my tattoos. I used to do party crack. I used to fuck prostitutes, but now I found God. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
But I mean, I still feel like Catholic priests are like more subdued. They're like, you know,
Yeah,
God.
it's less edgy.
true,
They're
nice.
like,
I- and it-
alhamdulillah. And then you're just like, oh,
But yeah, they
fuck,
do
bro.
the
I thought you
tone,
were
they're
from
like-
Calgary. Like, this is it.
But not even the white guys, even sheikhs, they're like, yeah, Habibi, let God in. They're so poetic.
Yeah, it's very poetic.
Very poetic.
Christianity
Christian,
is
nah.
very Christianity is accounting.
It's very beige.
Yes.
A priest is accounting. A sheikh is the marketing.
Yes.
They have the marketing. You see the videos with smashing on the tables and
Yeah.
pointing fingers, and you think you do this, and then
Did
it's
Allah
like,
never? Allah cares. And they just sit there like,
Yeah, for sure Allah cares. And then it's-
The Christian was like, yeah, God was with you. The Lord is here.
Yeah, it's like
boring.
But I wonder what's this aspect, and we tend to like try not talking about it openly, but even famous people that are reborn Christians,
Yeah.
it doesn't get the edge of like learning that Dave Chappelle is Muslim, and
Doesn't
you're like,
care. That's
oh,
what I
fuck,
said.
like,
Because people are like, oh, I pray Ramadan. They're like, are you Muslim now? I go, no, I never said that.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I don't know a lot of people that go the other way. They go Muslim to Catholic.
Yeah,
It's like kind of boring. I feel.
Yeah, it's like kind of.
I wouldn't.
I know Catholics that they.
Because it's either you go Muslim to nothing, or
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
jumps to
Nobody goes
Christianity.
back. No one's like no one's Islam and then goes, I'm gonna go back to this Jesus guy.
And
You're
if
like,
people jump to Buddhism, you're like, yeah, your parents never loved you. This is something
no,
like
and
you
other,
go
I
to,
think even
you go to
Jewish
the
people
mountains.
hate Christianity. They're like, they'll fuck with Islam. It's just cooler.
Yeah, Jewish are gonna fuck more with Islam than
Yeah.
It's cooler because there's not enough guidelines in Christianity. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Christianity,
So
there's
it's
no
like,
dictatorship.
yeah, it's like it's easy. You can do like, ah, you're Christian, cool. You just wear a cross. That's it.
And
Like
you
at
make
some
but there's
point,
so
mistake
much
and you get
guilt
for-
though.
yeah, there's a lot of guilt.
I think
Yeah.
the Prophet Muhammad, I start preaching to you guys, it's just more forgiving.
I'll tell you, at the end of this episode, I'm Muslim. My name is not Jacob, it's Karim.
It is more I convert both of you and me.
Bro, my dad is gonna freak out. I'm just talking about meditation to my parents, and my mom thinks I'm possessed by the
That's
devil.
his fucking problem.
that's hilarious.
That's his problem. He's gonna.
could-
He sits down with his mom and tries to explain to her the benefits of weed. Just don't have this conversation.
Weed
No,
or
I do.
meditation?
Both.
I
everything.
talk about weed, about meditation. I even told mom because me, I had a big complex. Like, my mom and my dad always told me, when you masturbate, you go to hell.
Yeah,
my
I'd
dad,
say-
when I was very young, my dad is like, homosexuals, they go to hell.
Okay.
In the Bible, it's like written that. I'm like, what the fuck? And he tells me, when you jerk off, you're jerking off to a penis, and that's gay.
That's
So
what
you're
your
going
dad
to
would
hell.
tell you.
And I was like, you're snorting too much cocaine, bro. Like, seriously.
This
like,
guy's talking
how do
to
you make
God?
those yeah.
Yeah.
He with a spoon, he's like, how do you do those connections?
So you meditate. I mean, therapy too. Trying to introduce it to
Yeah.
to our families is probably like, you know, they think it's witchcraft. They think
100%.
my mom was like, "Shoo," in Arabic. She's like, "Shoo, what are you telling them?"
Yeah.
What secrets are you telling
Yeah.
them?
Yeah,
It's
my
like-
dad is like, be careful because he's gonna think that you're like that or we're those kinds of people. And I'm like, he doesn't care.
He
I
doesn't
just
give a-
have
yeah.
to pay him.
Yeah.
He's helping someone that stabbed his kid. Like, I think he doesn't care
Yeah.
that you used to slap me once in a while.
Yeah, it's like because that's what they think. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
don't make them look. We don't want to look.
We
bad.
can't look weak in this app.
Yeah, we can't look weak. They're always.
I'm like, he just wants
He
that.
doesn't
He
know
just
you,
wants
bro.
the transaction. It's completed.
Yeah,
that's
that guy
that's
just
all he
cares
wants.
about the money.
Yeah.
The therapist is like, just pay me, bro. I don't give a shit about your family.